Cena says, Jack Swagger, Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler gets a huge pop, like I was saying, and Cena actually plays up to this. Says, I know you want Dolph Ziggler, but the Authority won't let you have Dolph Ziggler. And then he says, and there's another guy I've had my eye on. He's actually my opponent tonight in the main event. Ryback's music hits. He comes out to a big pop. All he's able to get out is, the big guy is back. And then Triple H's music hits. And out comes the entirety of the Authority. I mean, Triple H, Stephanie, Kane, Rollins, Mercury, and Noble. Oh, and Mark Henry's in tow, which shows that he accepted their offer, so we can confirm that Mark Henry is a part of Team Authority.
Yep.
Stephanie, of course, is being antagonistic to the England crowd, saying she's thinking about making God Save the Queen her entrance theme because she knows how England is very supportive of Authority. I mean, they still have a monarchy. And then Triple H gets on the microphone, says everything is on the line at Survivor Series. And he asks John mockingly, am I trying to scare everybody in that locker room from joining your team? You're damn right I am. I'm putting the fear of God in them because everything is at stake. So Triple H, I mean, clearly he is in the zone. He is very concerned about losing his power, his legitimacy at Survivor Series. And then, we see the Authority trying to goad Ryback into joining their team, pretty much saying, that he has the chance to be the most destructive monster, the most incredible monster of all time. Talks about title shot.
I feel like, though, like that line, like Kane was in the ring. You might as well just cut to Kane and play a sad song on the same time.
I know, right? Because Kane's just like, my time has passed, my flame has gone.
Yeah.
But, the Authority says they're in control of who is a main eventer around here, so if Ryback joins them, that guarantees more title shots, more opportunities, more everything. And then Ryback pretty much turns to them and says, well, Ryback is not scared of the Authority. Pop! And then, but I don't see John Cena's name on the bottom of my paychecks. And then he turns around and he spinebuster Cena, as we talked about. So Ryback, again, kind of teasing, joining the Authority and just telling Cena to go screw himself. So.
Yeah. So, again, we kind of get the idea at this point that, Ryback is going to be on Team Authority. This was such a big heel turn, and the internet was set ablaze because people were under the impression that, you bring Ryback back as a full-blown babyface and he starts to get over, and then you turn him heel again. Why do you hate Ryback so much? But no, we'd find out by the end of the night that WWE is actually content with making Ryback a badass tweener. And, yes, please.
Absolutely, and I really hope you're right about that. I really hope that, and again, if he does join Team Cena, I at least hope he cuts a promo saying that he's only doing it because he wants to just feed and destroy and all that stuff. So, with that said, we then segue, because Triple H also said in this same promo that Jack Swagger, he's going to face Seth Rollins. Oh, and Dolph Ziggler is going to face Mark Henry. So that's how he's going to dissuade those guys. So we go to Seth Rollins versus Jack Swagger. Not really much to say here, Ashton. This seemed like a pretty average match to me. I mean, Swagger got all of his typical offense. I think one cool thing he did was I think he got the Patriot Lock on the outside, or he tried to, but then Seth Rollins shoved him in the ring post, and then he hit a curb stomp for the win, so Seth Rollins secured the victory. And then he hit another one, and pretty much these two curb stomps would take Jack Swagger out ultimately.
I know, since I get that the curb stomp is supposed to be a pretty strong move, but all it took was one, and the doctors were checking on Swagger like he was concussed or something. And then, of course, because they were selling it so much, the second one was super dramatic because it was like, oh my god, he's trying to end his career. But, I mean, I get that a curb stomp into some cinder blocks or onto some steel steps would be something that could take you out of action for a while, but really, just two in the ring, I don't get. Like, I love that they're trying to get it over as devastating, but why is this so sudden? Why haven't they been doing this since the beginning?
See, and that's the thing. I think if you remember, Ashton, when we were first talking about Seth Rollins' finisher, I think back in his NXT days, I actually did say that I wanted to see the curb stomp at one point reach punt status. But here's the mistake and the oversight I made, and what made the punt so successful, is that Randy Orton didn't come prepackaged with that punt. That's something he introduced much later when he wanted to be more sick, more sadistic. Yeah. It was always the RKO. Now, if Rollins had a finisher, like, say, the Abracadabra was his finisher.
Avada Kedavra.
Avada Kedavra.
The killing curse from Harry Potter.
Right. And say that was his finisher, and then he introduces this stomp like in one match.
Yeah,
and then
that would have been awesome.
That would have been amazing because that is exactly how they did it with Randy Orton. But here, we've always associated Seth Rollins with the curb stomp, so it's kind of jarring a little bit when all of a sudden anybody who sustains a curb stomp or two just in the ring needs all of this medical attention. So while I'm happy about it, it wasn't really structured the best way, I think is what I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what makes it kind of awkward because it's like you've had this guy using this move since he debuted. So I guess now that we're kind of revisionist history meant to assume that he's put everybody that he has curb stomped out of action for a little while. Like, really?
Hell, you don't even have to put in that much effort for me. If Seth Rollins just wanted to bring a chair in the ring and do the curb stomp that way, I'd buy it even then.
Right.
But just a standalone curb stomp, I don't think is really gonna convince me. Like, oh man, poor Swagger, he's done. And no, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
All right. After that, of course, we get some network plugs. We also, it's Veterans Day, so JBL, of course, thanks all the veterans. And then, for the actual next meaty segment of the show, we get Dean Ambrose talking about, Bray Wyatt's words from Friday. It says he has a long rap sheet in this business, but he doesn't apologize for any of it. He doesn't hide from his demons. He doesn't care about being a hero. He says the Authority couldn't take him out, so Bray Wyatt sure as hell can't take him out either. And he says he hopes there's a special place in hell for the both of them. I really like this promo from Ambrose. It was very subdued. He seemed very collected in his thoughts, very serious. What did you think of this promo?
Yeah, if you want the perfect and honest truth, I didn't pay a ton of attention to this promo just because this whole Ambrose Wyatt thing, like, I'm still waiting for them to give me some kind of a reason. Like, I get that Bray Wyatt's talking about how he and Ambrose are cut from the same cloth, but why exactly would that make you want to attack somebody and beat them up? And like, how is Bray Wyatt saying that he and Dean Ambrose are so much the same, but yet he wants to save Dean Ambrose, yet he's not trying to save himself, I guess? I don't know. I guess I just don't get this feud.
I think, what the problem with this feud is that I think they're trying to do a similar thing here that Bray Wyatt did with Daniel Bryan, because he would beat up Daniel Bryan and he would abuse Daniel Bryan for the sole purpose of disillusioning Bryan from the fact that the fans cared about him and the fact that he can be a hero.
Yeah, but you know what, though? Daniel Bryan was so just purebred babyface and such a white bread babyface even, and he was so sympathetic, and Ambrose is only sympathetic in that if he can't get what he wants, he gets to a point where he is desperate and obsessive, not necessarily the right kind of sympathetic for this kind of angle.
Right, and certainly not. I mean, Ambrose himself in this promo says that he isn't here to be anybody's hero.
Right.
That alone, I think, shows you the problem with just this particular angle. I love that Ambrose is like that, and I wouldn't want him to change that even for this angle, but I think it reveals its detriment, because Bray Wyatt, I think, is all about disillusioning the heroes, from bringing them down from their pedestals to the cold ground of the earth, and Ambrose is already there. So what else can you possibly do? So.
This I think that the reason that I can't get invested in this is because it feels like the verbal version of a strong style Japanese match where nobody is selling anything. Like, Bray Wyatt says all this stuff that should have like this deep and immediate emotional impact on Ambrose, but he's Dean Ambrose, so he doesn't care, and he just no-sells it. And then Dean Ambrose says all this stuff that should make Bray Wyatt really rethink his options, but he's crazy and he's Bray Wyatt, so he doesn't sell any of it. And it's like they're both talking to walls.
Yeah, one of them has got to be able to show vulnerability to go to another feud, because Bray Wyatt got personal and mentioned Dean Ambrose's his father. When Chris Jericho mentioned CM Punk's father and his family, Punk wanted to kill Chris Jericho.
That was a big deal, but Ambrose is just like, I mean, he got arrested, he's in jail, whatever, no care.
Exactly, and again...
And you know what the best thing is, dude? I absolutely love that Bray Wyatt is bringing that kind of stuff up, because to me, I don't even think that's true. I don't know for sure. We would have to find out whenever the Dean Ambrose DVD comes out, whenever the first one comes out, because you know there's going to be more than one. But I'm not even sure if his father is actually in jail. But regardless, he cut a promo on NXT talking about how the cops came and took his dad away, and like it just that was the promo that he cut after William Regal broke his heart. Remember, or he was like, I'm gonna rip yours out of your chest and throw it up against the wall. Yeah, that was that promo. So Bray Wyatt is actually referencing an old FCW promo. And to me, that's just brilliant that he does his research and he goes that far into somebody's history. I just love that he's doing that. But then Ambrose comes out and says this stuff, and it's like it's all for naught. It all doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't matter how much effort Bray puts into it, because Dean Ambrose's shtick is that he doesn't care. His whole gimmick is based on being this kind of loose cannon, the lunatic fringe, which basically just means he doesn't give a crap about anything. He thinks he's immortal and he's going to act like it the whole time. So Bray Wyatt is really not, and it's funny because for the longest time I've been saying that this feud was going to hurt Dean Ambrose's momentum. Well, the more it's going on, it's feeling like it's the wrong feud for Bray Wyatt too.
Yeah, I was really excited about this feud. You know that I loved how Hell in a Cell finished, and that's another thing too. I think that's bothering me. Why doesn't Dean Ambrose want to? I mean, he wanted to the first Raw after Hell in a Cell, but it really feels like Dean Ambrose has simmered, and it's almost like Bray Wyatt went from this lion chasing him through the jungle to just this pesky mosquito while Dean Ambrose is just trying to do whatever. Like, I want to see that look in his eyes where he wants to kill Bray Wyatt, because the Monday after Hell in a Cell, it really seemed like he wanted to. Like, you screwed me out of getting my revenge on Seth Rollins. It's what I've been waiting for. It's what I lived for all these months. I'm going to destroy you. And now with promos like this, it's like, if I was coming into this feud now, and this is my first introduction to it, I wouldn't even know why Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt even have beef. It's weird. I feel this disconnect. So, you know, let's get back on track. Because really, the father stuff, I agree with you. It's great that Bray Wyatt shows that kind of creativity and that sense of continuity with Dean Ambrose's persona and his history. But really, just the idea that Bray Wyatt screwed Dean Ambrose from his comeuppance against Seth Rollins, that's enough to ride this feud, if only Dean Ambrose will show that he cares enough to hurt Bray. But as you've already established, it's kind of circular. It's just not in Dean's personality. So it does seem like a bad fit for both guys, and that's all you can really say about it.
Yeah. It's one of those things where they're both kind of getting to flesh out their own characters, but Dean, I feel like in order for Dean's character to really work, he needs more people involved in what he's doing. Like, he either needs people that he needs to stand up for, or he needs people that he has really good reason to hate. And he doesn't have any of that right now.
Yeah, he really doesn't. Anything else you want to say about this?
Not really, no.